George Lyon, Liberal Democrat MEP for Scotland. Is the European help available after these floods that we've had in Scotland?
Yes, the European Solidarity Fund has been set up so that member states can access in terms of disasters, natural disasters. And what we're calling on today is for the Scottish Government and the UK Government to work together to try and access some of that fund to repair the damage, put in flood controls and deal with the mess that's been left behind after weeks and weeks of high winds and storms hitting Scotland and the United Kingdom.
What kind of things can this money be used for, and what are the chances of Scotland being able to get hold of it?
Well, it can be used for flood defence work to make sure that if there has been a disaster like in Dumfries where there's been flooding again because of the high winds and the amount of rain that's fallen, that you can take preventative action and use some of the European money to actually build these flood defences to stop it happening again in future. It can be used to tidy up the mess that's been left behind and some of the destruction that's been caused by the disaster. And I think if the Scottish and UK governments work closely together, given the amount of damage that's been done right across the UK, there's a serious prospect that this money could be accessed. It was accessed previously in 2008 when we had a lot of damage then as well. So I see no reason that we should not at least investigate it and try and see if we can't get this European money to help alleviate some of the mess and repair some of the damage that's been left behind.
And very difficult to put a figure on it, but any idea, are we talking millions of pounds from Europe, presumably given the scale of such a disaster as this?
Potentially the amount of damage that has been done, yes, we could be looking at millions of pounds. In fact, it was 300 or 400 million, I think, in 2008 that we eventually drew down. So the UK is not alone. There are EU funds that can be used, and at a time of cuts right across government, of course, it's important that you can maximise every penny that's available to you. So hopefully UK Government and the Scottish Government will look on this as a way of trying to supplement the scarce funds that we have in the UK already.
You mentioned scarce funds there. Presumably if there is no money from Europe, this will come down to, for example, local councils having to pick up the bill. How detrimental could that be in the forthcoming year, would you expect?
Well, of course, with councils who are quite hard strapped for cash at the moment, the last thing they need is a huge disaster on their doorsteps where they've got to clean up the mess. In Scotland, we have a thing called the Belwyn Fund where they can access Scottish Government money, which helps to draw down extra funding in times of need to deal with the consequences of that. But in many of the areas that have been hit by flooding in the past, of course, they're still waiting on money to fund defences that will stop a repeat of the disaster happening again. So some of this money could possibly be used for that.
And you mentioned that it's a possibility. The UK government's not always keen on drawing down these EU funds. How do you rate your chances this time round?
Well, the chances are quite simple. If you put together a good bid, you'll succeed. So the ball lies with both the UK government and Scottish governments to work together to come up with a good bid, put it in, and I'm sure if it hits all the right marks and given the disaster and the scale of the disaster, I see no reason why we can't access funds. If it's well put together and well supported, then I'm sure we can be successful in drawing down European funds to help alleviate and repair the damage that's been done right across the UK.
And just finally, I understand you're writing with colleagues to the Environment Secretary. What's your message to him then to presumably bid for this cash?
Well, quite simply, there's money there available in Europe. Given the scale of the disaster we have in the UK, we are calling on him to put together a bid and put it into the European Commission and see if we can access funds to help, as I say, repair the huge damage that's been done.